Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host RufffWizard, and wherever you are in the world, I hope you will, are having, or have had a wonderful day. This week in Gran Turismo 7 in Daily Race C, we saw a track that I don't think I've seen such a Marmite response to. So we're looking at Laguna Seca, and the thing is with this track is if you get it right, it's really fun. A lot of ups and downs, tight left and right handers, and some high speed corners. However, if you get it wrong, it's very, very punishing. For me personally, this is not a track that I'm particularly familiar with. Maybe I've driven it a couple of times in the one-player mode of the game, but never in daily races. So I had a big learning curve to overcome. It started off with me setting a qualifying time which was poor compared to the field, so I started off the races towards the back. In my races early in the week, the mistakes were piling up, I was being punished, and it meant that I was finishing races even a lap behind the field. However, I did what I had to do, I put in the time, I practiced and practiced and practiced until I finally set myself a lap that I felt pretty good about. Let's go! Come on! So with all that practice, there was only one thing left to do, to get back on the track and see if we could improve our results. Top 5 would be great. Welcome back to another daily race. We have a really fun combo for you this week. We are at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca for a 14-lap race in Group 3 cars. Top 5. We will have to use the racing medium compound, however with a mandatory pit stop and with tyre wear, we will be switching those out halfway through. Why am I getting pushed all the way out? Oh, I'm glad that those cars are no longer behind me. I have no idea if the car in front was involved or if they just benefited from it. Alright, taking another look, there is a lot going on here. There's a lot of contact from cars being really aggressive, just trying to make up places early in this race. And fortunately for us, it works out better for us than it does for them. Had to come on the brakes very early there. Oh my gosh, why is... Okay, this lobby's already... What is going on? As you can probably tell by my voice at this point, I'm pretty confused. This is our 5th and 6th bit of contact on lap 1. I'm just hoping at this point things will start to calm down. Right, let's get back after P2. I definitely think P2's on for us. No idea if P1 is. Now we're starting to settle into the race. It's a great time to remind you that at the end of the race, we will be looking at the RufffWizard Daily Race Awards, where we will be looking at the nominees and winners for Best Overtake, Best Livery, and unfortunately, the Most Unlucky Moment. Stick around to the end of the video to see who the winners are. Say that. So it took us a couple of laps, but we finally got back into P2, but as you can see, we are at the lead of a pack of cars chomping at the bit to take that away from us. There's going to be no room for mistakes, so we're going to have to focus to make sure we keep hold of this place. Best thing I can do for my race is run away from the cars behind. Missed the downshift completely. Lost a lot of time there. Only 3 laps into the race, we can see that P1 is already way out into the distance, which is a little bit frustrating for us because with all the early contact and disruption, we never got a chance to see if our pace could truly match up to theirs. We're going to have to try and get after them and see if we can catch up at some point. And with the pace picking up lap after lap, we can still see the cars behind us are right on our tail, so we're spending more time looking behind us than we are looking forward.
Not great, lost a lot of time doing that. And that. Lost a lot of time. Gonna defend. Had to defend my line.
I really appreciate you watching the video. If you are enjoying it, don't forget to give it a like, and why not check if you're subscribed at the same time. And then you can hit that bell if you want to get notified when new content comes out. So it is quite interesting here that P3, after following us so closely since lap 2, hasn't decided to take the undercut to try and get an advantage over us. They are following us, so now it's just a question, will they follow us into the pits or will they go for the overcut?
If they do. They've also come into the pits, which is interesting. Let's go, team. Change those tires. No fuel, though. We're good on fuel. Alright, there's no cars around us, which is good. Alright, they're not ghosted with us. Gotta remember, tire warm-up is real. They are close to us.
So with their choice to follow us into the pits, we find ourselves in the exact same situation as before, with P3 right on our tail. Can already tell that this one's going to go down to the wire.
That was horrible. I'm going to have to play very defensive here. Luckily we held on to that.
Playing it so defensively through the last sector has cost us a little bit, so down the home straight we're finding ourselves now side by side with what was P3.
Trying to be as respectful as I could there. I definitely don't think the race for P2 is over yet.
Now, although we did sacrifice a position, with P1 yet to pit, we already know that we are in for a podium position here, and we still feel like we can get P2.
Let's just focus on our lines right now. P2 is not gone. What do you call it? Is that P1? That is P1. Who was way out in front.
After a slight touch on the sausage curb, we can see that P1 here has an absolute nightmare, struggles to control the car, and their massive advantage is completely gone.
This race just became a race for the win.
This race has now become a race for the win, however we have lost a little bit of time to the car in front, and we know now the car behind is rapid. Now is the time to lock in.
The car behind is quick and the car in front is not perfect. but neither are we. That's why we're in the position we're in.
So with about 2.5 laps to go, we can see that we're almost dead center between P1 and P3. If we want this win, we're going to have to start pushing forwards and get closer to the front.
Two laps to go.
With a better run through the first half of this lap, we've already closed the gap by over a second. It's now sitting at just under 0.5.
Oh, car behind had an issue, ran into the wall.
And just like that, P3 Signed Seals delivers a terrible end to their race after what was going to be remembered as a dominant performance.
Gone a bit deep there. Scruffy first sector. Let's tighten it up. Let's tighten it up. Come on, come on, come on. Ah! Just run out of track. Oh! Oh! Close. That was a close one. Oh! 0.187 to the win. Oh! Dang. A couple of better moments, we would have had that. For sure. That was a good race though. It's definitely a good race.
Man, watching that back is not easy. I just think about the little mistakes that had I not have made, maybe I'd have come out with the win there. However, I am not taking P2 for granted, especially with how my week started. I had a feeling very early on in the week, although I was going to struggle, I was really going to enjoy this track, and that turned out to be true. But enough about me, it's time to look at our RufffWizard Daily Race Awards. And of course, we're starting with the best overtake. Our first nominee is Deadluck. Going through the final turn, they're following close to the bumper of P8. They managed to get better traction to have to take aggressive avoiding action, keep traction in the car, and take the place. Our second nominee is the Villanova 24. They saw an opportunity opening up on the inside. They got the car alongside before going into the corner. They hit the double apex nicely and got away with the place. And our third and final nominee is Umberto 99. They take a slight sneak towards the inside, playing mind games with P8. P8 falls for it, gets late on the brakes, and Umberto goes up the inside and takes P8. And our winner of Best Overtake is... it's Umberto 99. This track is definitely not one that's easy to overtake on. And when you're trying to chance it on an uphill blind left-hander, that's very, very brave. And to pull it off, you've got to get your props for that. So congratulations, Umberto 99. You are this week's winner of Best Overtake. Now moving on to Best Livery. And our first nominee is Paulo Silva VLR. Now this livery has some good color blocking that accentuates the lines of this car, and from what I can tell, this is part of the Virtuo Luso racing team based out of Portugal. And our second nominee is M140ZG. Now this livery appears to be an adaptation of the Hertz Team Yota hypercar livery. Ironically with this one, it appears to be closer to the Cadillac version of the livery than the Porsche livery. However, it's a good livery nonetheless. And last but not least is our third nominee. Back again, it's Dead Luck. Now this is a bit of a mouthful, so stick with me here. This livery is the Bend Motorsport Park sponsored Manti Racing EMA Porsche 911. This car notably driven in WEC in 2024. And the winner for best livery is... it's Dead Luck. When you have those liveries that aren't just in-game but actually come from real life, but they also have that really nice aesthetic appeal, they have to be rewarded. So congratulations Dead Luck, you've brought this week's best livery. And then moving on to our final award, most unlucky moment. And as always, there are going to be no nominees, we're going straight to the winner, if you can call them that. So this week, I'm going to have to give the most unlucky moment to Carlos. Now Carlos, after having a couple of bumps with yours truly, finds himself trying to take a nice normal racing line going through the penultimate corner, however gets a slight bump from the Villanova 24. It seems like Carlos gets out the corner ahead and that's the end of that. However, running down into the final turn, they get another nudge and end up into the dust. The recovery from this alone drops them from P4 all the way back to P14. When we take a second look at this, we can see from the Villanova 24's perspective, they clearly did not take kindly to the initial contact. Then they took matters into their own hands and they caused Carlos bad luck. When you factor in at this point, Carlos was ahead of the Villanova 24 and the Villanova 24 went on to win the race. It's really a matter of what could have been. So I'm sorry Carlos that this had to happen to you, but at least we can acknowledge it wasn't your fault. But it does mean you are this week's winner of most unlucky moment. Anyway, that's all I have for you this week. I really appreciate you sticking along with me. If you disagreed with any of my awards, let me know in the comments below. If you did enjoy the video, please give the video a like. And if you want to stick around for more in the future, you can hit that subscribe. If you feel like you could watch some more, check out one of these two videos. I'm out.